It's the holiday time, as you know.
Hooray! Love the
And
holidays.
I was getting out the decorations. As I was making room for some of our Christmas decorations, I picked up this candle. That was actually a gift that I gave my grandmother. I actually got to have that candle made for her. Why I bring this up today is because, the holidays, we get obsessed with gifts, and the holidays become about gift giving. For me, gift giving is, I see you. You know what I mean?
Rather than looking at the gift itself, it is truly the thought behind it that really matters.
Just go back to children. Think about the pure intentions that children have when they give you something and the look in their eyes. It's not about the thing.
If the intent and the heart is there, then that gift is simply enough just as it is.
Welcome to Simply Enough. This is Zachary and Elizabeth, and thanks for tuning in.
If you're liking our podcast, we'd love it if you'd share with your friends and family.
And then rate and review to raise our visibility and spread the message of enoughness.
We love you, and remember, you are simply enough.
Just as you are.
Period.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Simply Enough. I'm Mr. Zachary Leonard.
And I'm Dr. Elizabeth Ignacio.
Yeah, Dr. Ignacio, it's the holiday time, as you
Hooray!
know.
Love the holidays.
I know. And it really is a special time. And I was getting out the decorations. We have, I don't know if you know, you probably do, but Target has all of these birds that they sell for every season. And we have all these holiday birds that we put all over the place, and we have our special boxes that have like our lights for our Christmas tree because we celebrate Christmas. And as you start to put out the decorations, you've got to like make room, right? So you start to move things.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was making room for some of our Christmas decorations, I picked up this candle that I have in my house, and it's a rather interesting looking candle. It's kind of a pillar, but if you look at the pillar, there's all these folds of wax on it, and it's a light pink and green. And the reason why I bring it up today is because that was actually a gift that I gave my grandmother, who passed away some years ago. But I got it for her when I was studying abroad, which I've talked about being in London. Mm-hmm. I was studying abroad, and when I traveled through Eastern Europe, I actually got to have that candle made for her. Oh. So why I bring this up today is because, the holidays often we get somewhat obsessed with gifts, right? Because we've got to do the shopping, and we've got the list of people that we've got to get gifts for and whatnot. And the holidays I think for some of us become about gift giving and like getting the gifts and everything. So if you don't mind, I want to share a little bit of story about this particular candle as it broadens into a bigger story. So as I was studying abroad, I felt so fortunate to see this part of the world that my brothers and sisters hadn't, and many of my family members hadn't. And so part of me really felt excited to bring back things to share with them. And also a way of saying, I thought of you when I was at this place. So I got to pick out this hand-carved chess set for my brother when I was in Krakow.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know, let's say it was like $10 or $15. Like it wasn't really a lot of money, right? But my brother and I like to play chess together, and that's something special that we enjoy. And so then I got to come home and say, okay, yes, I got you this chess set, but really there's a story behind it. Like I was in Krakow Square, and they had this outdoor market, and they had all these chessboards, and I picked these colors so that you and I could play. Like there was a lot kind of surrounding it. And similarly, I got these water goblets, these Polish crystal water goblets from my mom. My mom's Polish. My mom's family is Polish. And I thought that she would really appreciate just the beauty and the craftsmanship of her people, essentially, right? So, but the funny thing was, they packaged these goblets in the thinnest cardboard box ever. And for whatever reason, that became their transport box. Like I didn't think about wrapping them or putting them something else. And it's amazing that they didn't break. Like,
they didn't.
They did not.
Oh, wow.
And I carried them on to the planes and everything. Somehow they didn't break, thank God. And she still has them. But it was a way of saying, Mom, look, I thought of you. I was in Krakow and I thought of you. And I was walking through the Portobello Road Market in London. There was just this beautiful market, and you can imagine selling vintage things and secondhand stores and fruits and veggies and foods and stuff. And I found this opal ring that I don't know why I felt compelled to get for my sister because her birthday's in October and opal is the birthstone. And there was just something about that ring that reminded me of my sister. And I still can go back to that time of walking through this market and feeling like my sister was with me. So like I brought up the candle, I got to have this candle made for my grandmother. I got to pick the colors. I got to watch the wax or the wick being dipped again and again. I got to see the candle maker cut the wax and fold the wax over to create this beautiful overflowing like candle to then give it to my grandmother and say, while I was here, I thought of you. And I share that because I love to give gifts. I really do. And I struggle during the holidays when it's like, just get me a gift card or get me a gift certificate or get me, something like that. When I really want to demonstrate that I was thinking of somebody or that I found something special for them. And it doesn't have to be $50 or $100 or $2 or $3. It can be something handmade or whatnot. But for me, gift giving is like, I see you. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh, I wrote that down.
But
we're going to delete that. But
yeah.
In my notes preparing for this, I wrote that down. That's
okay.
The whole point. Oh my God. Okay. Sorry.
But yet I do feel that tension because it doesn't always work out that way. And then also, what do
you mean it doesn't always work out that way?
Meaning like, I don't know that I always can find the gift that demonstrates to somebody like I see, or I think of you, or, in the like, what do you need or what do you want? But in what you need or what you want, or help me a little bit, it's like, oh, just give me a gift card, check, boom, the gift is done. And I understand that it has its utility. So I'm not knocking that by any means. There's something about the way that I like to give gifts that feels some tension in those moments of, okay, what is going to like make sure that I have a gift for somebody at Christmas? Does any of that make sense? Or
I'm just thinking, culturally, in the Filipino culture, there's pasalubong. In the Japanese culture, which has become a local culture here in Hawaii, it's omiyage, where when you travel or when you're visiting, one brings, a gift with them to give to, kind of like a hostess gift. And even like in youth sports, when we travel to tournaments, the Hawaii teams always have gifts for the opposing team as part of culture. And rather than looking at the gift itself, it is truly the thought behind it that really matters. And that's truly where the value is the thought of giving. That matters. And the reason why I say that is some of my most favorite gifts are absolutely, totally intangible. Nothing for me to hold, nothing for me to keep. And what I mean by that is I get many, and I'm grateful, I get many texts or phone calls or Facebook posts, or I'm tagged in it for Wonder Woman. And people can be traveling or shopping, and they come across something that says Wonder Woman, or one person was driving and there was a car that had covering their tire cover, a Wonder Woman logo, and somebody took a picture of it and screenshot and sent it to me. Those are, all intangible. There's nothing for me to hold. There's nothing for me to take home, but I consider each and every time that happens a gift from that person, because I am so touched and so honored that because they know that I love Wonder Woman so much, that when they come across something that is Wonder Woman, they think of me and they want to share it with me. Mm-hmm. It's not the tangible gift itself. It really is truly, it's not a cliche. It's really the thought that counts. And I was listening to a friend of mine recount a story, and I don't think it was her story. To be honest, I think she was recounting a story that she had heard. So just to give credit where it's due. And it's funny, she was talking about, it was a conversation about parental love. And the context of the stories actually were about how, sometimes they didn't feel loved by their mother or that kind of stuff. So this song, Gracie and Mikey, don't ever tell a story that way. But anyway, just how feeling like neglected or not loved enough or whatever. So the reason why I mentioned that is because that was kind of like the background context of the storytelling. So I was already kind of geared thinking that that's what all these stories are about. So here's this one story where my friend was recounting that this mother kept giving her child, when making sandwiches, she would make sandwiches out of the baguette. And so she would make the sandwich and she would cut off the ends and make a sandwich out of the ends and give it to the child. And then she would make a sandwich out of the middle part of the baguette. And that's what the mother would eat. And the child just couldn't understand, why do I keep getting these ends? Like, ugh. And honestly, that I totally agreed. As I'm like hearing the story, I'm like, gosh, that's kind of selfish. So like the mom is saving the best for her. Cause I personally, my own perspective and my own value that I'm putting on the bread is that I like the soft, squishy part. I like the, outer crust of the baguette, but I really like the soft, squishy part. And that's what that's what the child was describing about the mom enjoying the soft, squishy part of the middle of the baguette. And here I'm stuck with like the ends. And I totally was understanding that. And I was like getting ready to rally of like, oh my God, how selfish of that mom to save the best part for herself. And so as the child got older, the child kept getting the baguette ends and finally just like, ate the sandwich, but then threw away the rest of the bread that no longer had filling in it. And the mom said, why did you throw that away? That is the best part. I love the crusty ends. That's why I gave it to you. And that hit home for me because I was totally like shaming myself because I was looking and I was hearing the story and then looking at the story and looking at the bread and the sandwich pieces with my own value system of what do I value most? I enjoy the middle part more than I enjoy the end part. But when you recognize, or when I recognize, and I was even like looking at the mom of like, how selfish of you, like tossing the junk end pieces to your child. You should give the best pieces. Sure enough, what the mom enjoyed the most, the end, is what she gave to her child because that is what she valued. So a lot of times when we look at the value of a gift or what somebody would, might like or might not like, if we can look at the value that the gift giver is placing on it, that changes a lot in terms of when you receive the gift. Wow, I don't like the ends. That's the gift that you're giving me is the end piece of the baguette. I don't like that. But when one recognizes the thought behind it and the value that the gift giver is putting on it, changes the gift altogether because it's actually not about the thing. It's not about the gift. It's what did the gift giver intend? What is the value of that that the gift giver is giving to another person? It reminds me of another question to ponder that was given to me. I think it was in a sermon, which is, if you are a person and you are asking another, I really need $10. Do you have $10? Who is the more generous? The person that is wealthy, that has $100 in their wallet and gives you $20 when you ask for $10? Or who is the more generous? The person who opens up their wallet, sees that they only have $5, but they give you the $5 that they have. Who is the more generous? Which gift is the more valuable? I'm not answering that question. Everybody who just heard that story, that question that I posed will come to their own answer, and there is no right or wrong. But I'm just saying how it's not about the thing. It's not about the gift. It is truly the value that the gift giver is placing on it when it is when the gift giver gives it to you. I think of family members, for example. You know, your story is about family members. I think about family members in terms of, again, I'll just pose a question. I'm not going to say what's a right answer, what's a wrong answer, but in a similar term of, what is more valuable, or who is the more generous? There can be a family member that gives money to somebody and says, go buy this gift for so-and-so, because oops, I forgot that it's so-and-so's birthday. Here's some money, go buy a gift for so-and-so, and say that it's from me. And it's a lot of money. And so a big expensive gift can be bought with that money. Or there can be a family member who either doesn't have as much money or takes the time. I realize I'm putting a little bias into this. So one could probably tell how I would answer this question, but takes the time to go shop and knows that this kid likes hockey, and the gift giver knows nothing about hockey, and so actually buys something related to hockey, but it's actually a really weird, terrible gift that has nothing to, or minimally has to do with hockey, or it might even actually be, the what is that called? The rival team. Mm-hmm. So it's if you look at the gift itself, it's a totally wrong gift. But if you look at the fact that the gift giver recognizes that this kid loves hockey, and so I'm going to try to buy something hockey, even though I don't know hockey at all, there's value in that. So what is the more generous gift there? And then even to your point about gift cards, if in a family member, for example, recognizing I am so out of touch with what teenagers like these days, so I have no idea. So perhaps what the teenager will like best is the choice and the agency of being able to spend the money that they want to. So I am going to give a gift card, but rather than just throwing a gift card, at the teenager, explain to the teenager, I don't know what you would like, and I've thought about what I could give you, but because I just recognize that I'm not in touch with what teenagers like, what I decided to do is give this gift card to you so that you can choose, because ultimately I want you to be happy with what you have. Yeah. And so here's a gift card. There's a total different message behind giving that gift card than the checkbox that you had first alluded to about giving gift cards. Yep. It's truly the thought that counts.
It is. And I'm smiling because I think as I shared this story and we got into this episode, I think I was implicitly saying that I was trying to find the perfect gift rather than exactly what you're saying, which was, I want to find a gift that demonstrates that I think of you or that I see you. And that separates that just puts some space in between the intention and the actual gift. And I think I was putting them closer together. So while I was on my trip and I wanted to find a way to capture, I was thinking of you. I saw you shared in this experience with me, and the tension or the push and the pull that I'm feeling now, it's because I was feeling more about the actual gift itself rather than stepping back and seeing as the gift giver. Now you also talk about the gift receiver too, looking at the gift and seeing the thought behind it. And I want to get into that too, but I'm just saying, as I kicked off the episode, it was more, I think, an attachment to the value of the actual item or whatever it ends up being, and not behind the message that I was trying to put behind it. And thank you for that. So thank you for that.
So my husband and I have been together for nearly 30 years, that's inclusive of dating and marriage. So we haven't been married for 30 years, but we've literally been together for 30 years. And so he knows me well. And I just have to throw out there that recognize that this story is leading to putting him in a very good light. Okay. Okay, Dave. Which is this. So back in the day, early on, my husband had to travel a lot for work, and he would often, like you, during his travels, come back home with a trinket or with a gift. And was so lovely. And one year he came home from travels, and he gave me, I swear he's going to end up in a good light in this story, everybody. Okay, but
we love you, Dave.
For this beginning part of the story, he came home one trip and had a gift for me. And what it was like a travel pillow, travel socks, and I don't know, something else, travel, meaning it was quite obvious that he was in the gift shop at the airport on his way back home and realized, I didn't get anything for Elizabeth on this trip, whereas I've been so good about past trips bringing her something. So let me find something. Oh, she likes pink. Let me grab this pink travel pillow, pink travel socks, and pink travel blanket so that I can come home with a gift. So mind you, he did think of me. So I'm acknowledging that he did think of me. But when he gave it to me, I did say, it's kind of obvious that you bought this at the airport, probably before you hopped on the plane to get home. So yes, he thought of me, but in thinking of me, there wasn't much thought behind the gift. And that's okay sometimes too. But I wanted to relieve him of the pressure of, it doesn't mean that every trip you have, you need to bring me back something like check off the checklist. On a trip, bringing back a gift home to spouse, check. Because then that's a different type of thinking of me.
Yes.
Whereas this is where it gets good. This is where he shows good. So for example, recently I came back home from a parent weekend with my daughter, and I traveled by myself, and I loved it. And it was such a joy. And so it was no sacrifice on my part, not at all. But it is, a long travel for a short weekend going from, Hawaii to the East Coast and back. And so when I got home, there was a present wrapped. It was so cute, and a cute little card too, and no occasion. I was like, what is this? And I could tell the card was from my husband. So, I was like, what is this? There's no occasion. And the card was thanking me for going, because it isn't easy to travel like that. And I didn't need thanks at all, because again, it's not a sacrifice. I was thankful that I could go, and spend that weekend with our daughter. And I actually felt badly for my husband that he couldn't join us and be there for our daughter, but he had work obligations himself. So already, what a wonderful gift that he framed it in a way of thanking me. And so here's a thank you gift. So the card alone was already something that I was grateful for. But then when I opened the present, there were these cute little, like Lego-like Ted Lasso characters and a Ted Lasso pencil case. And I mean, truth be told, what am I going to do with these little Lego toys? Do you know what I mean? So if we're going to talk about like the utilization of the gift, if that's what we're going to place the value on, honestly, what am I going to do with these little Lego toys? But that's not the point of the gift. And that's not the value of the gift. The value of the gift is, A, he totally and truly thought of me. And then B, knows that I love Ted Lasso so much, and Ted Lasso and the mantra of believe means so much to me, that he knew that this would mean something to me. Not the utilization of the gift, but the thought behind the gift is what made it a phenomenal gift of his thinking of me. But then, like I said, hearkening back to the beginning when I talked about how gifts can be totally intangible. It has nothing to do with the gift itself, because it really ultimately is, do you see the person? Are you thinking of the person? So one of the greatest gifts, I actually was recounting to our daughter just last night, actually. One of the greatest gifts was a couple days ago. My husband said, out of nowhere, we're just like sitting on the couch. He's like on his computer, I'm on my computer. And totally out of nowhere, he just said, Oh, sweetheart, by the way, are you planning on going, to visit Gracie, I don't know,
Mhm.
sometime between, when she leaves for winter break and spring break,
Mhm.
if we see her then. And I like my jaw dropped because I was like, I have been thinking of it.
Uh-huh.
And I've actually been secretly looking at airfares because I kind of felt guilty already planning on another trip to see her when she will already be home for the holidays, and we'll possibly see her, for spring break. So you read my mind. You totally know me, and you know what matters to
Mhm.
me.
Mhm.
And that little sentence I considered a gift, or a little question I considered a gift. And I told Gracie about it yesterday. Like, your dad gave me the greatest gift. And not because I need, permission, in terms of finances, what I spend money on, where I spend my time. I don't need his permission. And that his asking me that wasn't about him granting me permission. It was more just like, hey, are you thinking of this? Because, and I was like, how do you know that I was actually looking at airfares? And he was like, oh, I just know that that's what make you happy. And so I just assumed that maybe you might be planning on going to visit her in February. What a tremendous, intangible, immeasurable gift that was.
Mhm.
It is truly about the thought,
Mhm.
not the gift itself.
And what you're also saying, and at least what I'm hearing, is in these moments, the moment to pause and just acknowledge or see that takes you away from the actual object for a moment and like connects you with that person, right?
Yes.
And that there's really an opportunity to connect with that person that gift provided. And if we get caught up on the specifics of that gift, we miss that opportunity to connect with that other person who's literally trying to say, I thought of you, right?
Exactly.
And I will share a story, and it will seem disparaging about that of the person who received the gift. And I don't mean it that way. I mean it only insofar as it's an example of an opportunity missed to connect with another individual. So
Yes.
some friends of ours, a couple, male, female couple, both were getting into golf. Okay. And the guy had his own set of clubs, and his female partner was still building her own set of clubs. She happened to do really well with one of his clubs. It's the right length and width, or weight and everything. And she did really well with it. So he decided around Christmas time, he was going to polish it up, like spend some time cleaning it, like making it really shine, because it was a quote used club, a loved club, if you will. Mm-hmm. And wrapped it and gave it to her. And she was not happy that she got a used club. Now, we can understand why. Like, and it sounds like I'm totally judging that person, and I don't really mean to. What I mean to highlight is that in that moment, he was trying to say exactly what you're saying, which is, I'm thinking of you. I see you. I know as you are building as a golfer that this is helping you feel more confident and grow and learn. And who knows, down the road, maybe you get your own club. But for the time being, I want to give this to you. And there was just a possibility missed to recognize that as she received it, that the gift receiver, to just see what he was trying to say in that moment.
Plus, there are different ways to evaluate something. And what I mean by that is yeah, okay, we can look at a monetary thing. Was it new or was it used? Was it like, new and shiny? Or so there's the kind of like monetary value. Then there's also the time. So the thing that jumped out when you were telling the story is that he took the time to clean, and there are some people who have more money than time. And so honestly, and therefore that's what I mean about, so for those people that have more money than time, that's what I mean about who's the more generous. If somebody asks you for $10 and you have a wallet filled with $100 bills and you throw at them a 20, that's an awesome gift. I'm not minimizing that that's an awesome gift, because that's double what the person asked for. But if that person, rather than asking for $10, asks for 10 minutes of one's time, and that wealthy person can't give 10 minutes of the time, that's where time becomes a greater gift than the actual money, right? And that's whether we're talking about, of course, I think of the church, because often what is talked about is if you can give of your time, talent, or treasures, right? So giving one's talent or giving one's time in many ways can be equal to the actual monetary value of that's where treasures is implied. That's what jumped out at me when you were telling me that story. It's like, oh, how sweet of him to recognize that he liked that she liked that club. And so if he doesn't have the money to buy a shiny new club, he is going to invest the time. If he doesn't have the money, he's going to invest the time in it.
Yes.
And then talent. So, there's a newer Christmas song that Gracie loves and I love, and it's actually from High School Musical, the series. And it's the song is called "The Gift." I think that's what it's called. And what it's about is the boy Ricky, who doesn't come from means and comes from a single parent home and that kind of stuff, but is a phenomenal singer and songwriter. He wrote. Everybody listen to it because honestly, it's a great song, and I think it's called "The Gift." He wrote in the show, but he in real life wrote this song.
Great.
Yeah. So, and actually at the time, interestingly, he was dating his co-star that he was supposed to have the romantic interest in. So all these layers of this song, but he wrote this song in the show, because he doesn't have means. And the song, "The Gift," is that the song itself is the gift. And it's a beautiful song. And it's become actually, I lean towards loving the nostalgic, traditional holiday songs and Christmas songs. But one of my newer favorites is this song, "The Gift." And it's about his talent. So he's talented in songwriting and singing, and that was his gift.
You know who does this beautifully? Children. I mean, when you think about it,
absolutely,
children really understand, without, I think, any explicit messaging, that a gift is an acknowledgement of "I see you," or I want to give you time, the time that I spent thinking of you. And how many parents have gotten the pasta necklace or the ornament, or the pillow that's like felt, that's got, cotton balls like stuffed in the middle of it. And what is a child saying? Which is, my talent and my time are the gifts that are the things that I have to create a gift for you. And parents, I would say, just understand that and then treasure those things, right? And then somewhere along the way, I think as adults, we lose that a little bit. And I appreciate that we're bringing that back, because as a baker myself, that's why I love to bake. I love the creative aspect of it, but I also love the message, which is, I spent time making this for you. I spent time and talent, and maybe I do have talent. I don't know. But it's exactly that. And when you were talking earlier, I was like, no, there's a messaging of time too that's connected. And then of course you bring it back because we're on the same wavelength all the time. And I'm going to share this little quick story, and it's going to sound like a plug or like some boasting of myself, and I don't mean it that way. My last year at Iolani, I was lamenting the fact that I wasn't going to be there anymore. And I wanted to give something to my faculty and staff to demonstrate to them how much I saw them and wanted them to know what they meant to me. Growing up, we had these, and I think many homes have probably had them or have seen them, these little structures that when you light, they spin. And when you put candles underneath them and you light the candles, the exhaust from the candles go up to these like propellers that move the thing around. And it's a little like revolving scene, right? Sometimes they're quite ornate and they're made out of wood, or sometimes they're small and made out of metal and they're like angels, things that are flying. Well, we had these in my house growing up, and I absolutely love them. So I wanted to give that. I wanted to give that gift to my faculty and staff. but I also wanted to invite them into sharing that experience with their family. So I spent a lot of time in our tech and innovation lab, cutting pieces out and then, designing it, cutting it, engineering it, and then giving them the pieces with directions so that they could build it with their families and then do the lighting and everything. And I can imagine some people, like, they get this bag and they're like, what are all these wooden pieces? And there's a QR code and I got to go and look at these directions and everything. But really, the whole point of it is, one, I wanted to share something that was meaningful to me. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to give them what I hope would be just an ongoing reminder that I cared about them and I saw them and that their presence in my life mattered. And the time that we spent together was really the gift that I was taking with me. So I wanted something to capture that. So it wasn't ornate. It wasn't a lot of money, but it didn't really matter because it was the message behind it that was what I was trying to imbue in the gift.
Gifts should never be about the money anyway. I will say that some of my favorite gifts from patients are actually when they make something. Or when they cook something. And in fact, it's when they make something or when they cook something. And like, I have a couple patients where they gift me something that they made with their own hands. And truth be told, there's something in it that I'm allergic to. Yeah. And one of my staff members who's so protective of me, and I'm so grateful, but she I'm not anaphylactic allergic, so it's not like I can't be around it or else I'll have an anaphylactic reaction, but just like I get hives or whatever. And my very protective staff member, for whom I'm grateful, once said, she keeps giving this to you and you can't eat it because you're allergic. Why don't you say anything? Because honestly, you never eat it anyway. And I said, because it's not about whether or not I eat it. She made this with her hands and her time. I love it. It's an incredible gift. Whether I can consume it or not, I recognize the value in it. So it is a tremendous, generous gift. And if she wants to keep giving this to me till the cows come home, I will take it and receive it with such gratitude because of what she put into it. And because it meant something to her to make it, and it meant something to her to give it to me, then that means everything to me.
Yep.
So it's not about the thing. And then the other thing, one of my favorite gifts, which is actually about to make me tear up. And anytime I tell this, because I do share this story with anybody who will listen, because it just means so much. One of my favorite Christmas gifts is I had a patient who honestly used to be a gang member, and in being a gang member had tattoos to indicate honestly how many lives he had taken. And he served his time and all that. But anyway, so he became my patient. He'd been my patient for years, and subsequent to this years long relationship that we've had together, he made changes in his life. And I'm not at all saying that I'm the source of the changes. I'm just witness to his changes that he's made in his life, and how he showed up for himself, showed up for his family, showed up for his community. And then tragedy happened in his life with one of his children, and he asked me to be there for him in a certain capacity, and I did, and I showed up for him in that capacity that he asked. And so he came to my office, not for an appointment, not as my patient, but he dropped by to drop off a gift. And this was all around Christmas time, so it was a thank you gift and a Christmas gift all in one. And I was thankful, and I said, thank you, you didn't have to. And I took it home and put it under the tree amongst all of the other gifts. And so I didn't open it until Christmas morning. And so that by that point, it was weeks later. And I opened it, and it was like a bottle of drugstore body wash and a bottle of drugstore shampoo. Which, if we're going to talk about the monetary value of it, again, we're talking about the drugstore generic brand body wash and shampoo. And I just cried, and I'm already tearing up now, because for that man to think of me, take the time to, be in a drugstore and stand in the like feminine section of body wash and shampoo. And here's this macho former gangster gifting me this. That is a gift that I carry with me every year. Not the physical gift, but the sentiment of it will be one of the most valuable gifts ever given to me. Wow. It's never about the money. It's never about the monetary price that was handed over, the bills and the coins, or the check that was written, or the plastic that was run through in terms of the credit card. It is truly the value is the thought of the gift giver, and the value that the gift giver is placing on that gift in gifting it to you.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that.
There's gifts everywhere too. There's gift in everything.
Yeah.
So if we can look at things as something being gifted to us, and we receive it that way, that's how we feel rich.
And also how we can see it when we give to others. Like, to how I started, I was looking at the actual object rather than what I wanted to convey or what I wanted to share in the gift giving, that I was getting hung up on the gift card rather than what that meant or what that said to the person that I was giving that to. So our episode today is really for both sides of that moment. It's for the person who's giving the gift, and those of us that get hung up on, we've got to find the perfect gift, or we've got to spend a certain amount of money, or we've got all these like things, these like qualities or characteristics about the actual gift, when that's, to your point, not it at all. It could be body wash from the drugstore. And it's really that simple. And then on the other side,
relieve yourself of that pressure of the perfect gift. And I've removed that from my life, because what I mean by that is, when I get a gift for either the kids or for their friends, who are teenagers. And I mean, I'm 51. What do I know? I think I might be a little bit in touch, but I don't know. Yeah. So what I always do is, when I give a gift, if it's possible and feasible, I look a person in the eye and say, I thought of you, and this is what I thought you might like. But if I'm totally wrong, most important to me in giving you this gift is that you have joy from it. So please, I mean this. There is a gift receipt in this. Please use it, return it, exchange it for whatever you want. It does not offend me. Because my point of this gift ultimately is that you enjoy it. So if this thing isn't enjoyable, get what you enjoy, but know that that's where I was coming from. And that's all. It's not about the thing.
It's not about the thing.
And the price that is paid isn't always monetary. It could be time. It could be talent. It could be intent. It can be the heart that went into it. It's not the dollars and cents of it.
If for whatever reason, and I don't mean any judgment of that, if for whatever reason you need a little reminder, just go back to children and just think about the pure intentions that children have when they give you something, or they've made something, they've decorated something, and just go back to that joy that you feel, right? When a child gives you something. Everybody, or I think most people, have an experience of a child giving you something, and the look in their eyes, it is just so incredibly pure, of like, do you like it? I thought of you, or I made this for you, or I had the time and I put this together for you. It's just such a clear reminder of what exactly you're talking about, of what gift giving can be.
If the intent and the heart is there, not just checklisted off. If the intent and the heart is there, then that gift is simply enough, just as it is. Period.
All right, everybody.
Happy holidays,
Happy
everybody.
holidays.